Good morning, everybody, and Lord Mayor's Ambassador. Fantastic to be here. It's a fantastic location. I think the two Lord Mayors actually really need to be commended because this is not only a smart thing to do, but actually takes some courage to put it together. So hopefully this is going to be the start of a wonderful journey. I'm actually somewhat handicapped. I like to use PowerPoint slides and typically have about 70 for the 7 minutes that I have allotted. So we're going to have to talk fast. Three things we want to talk about are smart technologies, sustainability, and networking. So I'm going to try and cover them very quickly. We were delighted yesterday at Intel and NEXA. We had our president here. We were able to announce sort of an ongoing $5 billion investment into Ireland. And that's not just about sort of retaining high quality jobs, but also 5,000 sort of temporary construction jobs. And that's not something that we typically have done in the past. We learned 20 years ago not to come out with these kind of investments. So it was quite unusual for us to do that. But yesterday, something equally as significant happened, was we had Owen Keegan, the city manager, and the Lord Mayor, Oisin Quinn, at Intel, and we were able to sign an agreement which we'll publicly disclose next Tuesday at the Mansion House. As the Lord Mayor mentioned, we're going to work together on a global cities demonstrator, and Dublin will be the most densely sent city on the planet based on the collaboration. And this is something that actually hasn't happened overnight. For the last 2 to 3 years, we've been building a very collaborative relationship with people like Peter Finnegan and Mark Bennett. So we think this is going to be very significant, and there is already sort of a north-south corridor connection here because the software that we've been developing and the silicon actually has been co-developed between LeakSlip and two of our labs in Belfast, a Puna company that we acquired about 2 years ago. We also have a collab with SAP at Queen's and Titanic Quarter. So they're a very nice example. We're actually a living example of how this corridor can work. Now, we all know technology has the power to transform, and there are many examples, already: online banking, digital music, digital books. But the real opportunities are yet to happen, and cities are a very good place to start. And when we drift into the topic of sustainability, if we look at it at the macro scale, the Global Footprint Network, they did some interesting research a couple of years ago. A very simple analysis. If we continue as a global society to develop at the rate that we've been developing and the rate of consumption of resources, we'll need 2 Earths worth of resources by 2050. If we actually accelerate our rate of growth, we'll actually need 3 Earths worth of resources. There was the former Costa Rican president, Jose Maria Figueres. He made a very interesting observation. He said there's no planet B. So there is no plan B. We've got to do something different. And over the last year, actually, there's been an activity incubated in Ireland to try and come up with a solution. It's called Plan C. And Eamon Ryan, actually, the former energy minister, actually deserves great credit. And the idea of Plan C is very simple. You take technology and you actually substitute it for other resources in society, and you come up with solutions that are smarter, are better, are more convenient to use, and are less resource intensive than the technologies we use today. And you only have to look at sort of digital music, digital banking, digital books. They're examples. But we can now take those kind of approaches, and one of the collaborations we're having with Sean O'Driscoll is looking at an all-island of Ireland approach to transform the energy grid. And this might be something, Sean, you might address, but there is a fantastic opportunity, but also a problem for both the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland in terms of actually our rankings. In terms of, I was just reading, there's a fantastic sustainability report which is published every year by Dublin City Council, and Mark Bennett sent me a copy last night, and very compelling data around the percentage of, despite Ireland, the island of Ireland having one of the most fantastic renewable energy sources available on the planet in terms of wind and sea. Both Ireland and the UK are laggards in terms of the percent of our total energy that comes from renewable resources. In 2011, just 7.1% of our total energy consumption came from renewable resources, despite the fact that occasionally we're hitting 50% of our electricity energy coming from wind. So that's something we can work together, and the internet is a project that we can particularly target. The idea of this economic corridor between Belfast and Dublin is a very smart one. Santa Fe Complexity Institute published some excellent research about 9 months ago, and I've identified this very clear trend of what they call superlinear scaling and sublinear scaling. So basically, very simply, cities that are double the size of, if you take, say, Boston and you compare its economic output to, say, Austin and San Jose, you get actually a better linear output. You get more jobs, more investment, more growth in the larger cities. So actually this sort of distributed conurbation of Belfast and Dublin, actually based on the research, it'll actually drive more economic growth. And the reverse actually happens in terms of efficiency, resource efficiency. We know cities are dirty, they're congested, but on average, per head of population, they're actually quite efficient. And these larger cities, when they actually, again, they have sublinear scaling, they become more and more efficient, from an environmental standpoint, from a resource consumption. So this isn't just a great idea, there's actually lots of good research that backs it up. The third theme of our breakfast is the idea of networking, and this is a great networking idea. One of my colleagues in the US, Diane Bryant, she heads our data center business. When she writes this word, she writes net in small letters, and then she puts working in caps, because this actually is working, and actually forming the relationships is all about creating new opportunities. And one of the key learnings I had at Intel, I was the automation manager for Fab 10 and Fab 14. And we had a vision, though, in Fab 14, which, at that time, this was probably 1994, 1995, it was going to be the biggest construction project in Europe. We hired a US company called JMJ Associates based in Chicago to come in and talk to us. We wanted to make this an injury-free startup. So we brought all the workforce together in different groups, and we would run these workshops, and it started with statistics. The leading consultant would say, okay, in this room, based on the statistics, the probability is that 2 people in this room are going to die on the construction of this project. Look around, which 2 people is not going to be here at the end of the construction project? And that was kind of a chilling moment. Everybody realized, okay, this is serious. And the core message, that they want to get across, the idea that relationships are the foundation of all accomplishment. I'm really pleased to say that actually, over the course of that project, it was the largest construction project in Europe for 2 years. We didn't have a single fatality, or neither a single actually a serious industry. And we were talking yesterday with our company president. In the Intel fabs, we have most of the nasty chemicals on the planet. They're very tightly controlled, and the most serious incidents actually come from people using laptops, and they get ergo industries. And I think that's an accomplishment, or it's a testament to the approach. I wanted to finish with a point I know very much on the agenda of Oisin and the city manager own, is the idea of community involvement. And last year we ran a very significant conference here in Dublin as part of the Irish presidency. It was called Open Innovation 2.0. And there's some very simple concepts associated with this. It's a new paradigm. How do you drive large-scale structural change? 2 simple ideas I want to leave with you: the idea of quadruple helix innovation, the idea that governments, industry, academia, and citizens, if we can actually come together on a shared vision and work together, we can drive structural changes far beyond the scope of what we can do on our own. And we're already starting to witness to see how this is working. But also the idea of the reverse innovation pyramid. So why is Apple so successful? Largest market cap company in the world. Not only do they have great design, but they have a community of almost 1 billion developers that are developing apps for them. We've been working at the EU Open Innovation Strategy Policy Group to study, what makes great innovations? And one of the core ideas is the idea of a reverse innovation pyramid. In the past, a company innovated and did the innovation to a user, but today, actually, the most successful companies are the companies that actually have the user community part of the development process. And one simple example is Lego. Lego have children all around the world actually developing products for them. Now, the kids have to work hard. They have to come up with a design. They have to get 10,000 other children around the world to like the design before Lego will agree to make it. But if Lego make it, they share the revenues with the children. And the big idea, I think, around sort of cities is really engaging citizens actually in the development of the city and the innovation process. And this new platform that we'll announce next Tuesday, I think, is a fantastic example, and will really open up the possibilities for innovation. So what I would close with, I think, as you mentioned, we actually all have a challenge. It isn't a free breakfast. It would be wonderful if we could go away from today, not just with the relationships developed and cemented, but a couple of very interesting options that we could work on together between Dublin and Belfast and a corridor in between. So I think the challenge is in the next 45 minutes to an hour to come up with some really actionable ideas that we could work together on, get citizens involved and help us all move forward. So thanks for your time.